All right, guys, happy Monday.
Happy
Let's go
Monday.
ahead. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get started. We are going to talk about our weekly industry update, our four counties that we normally update on. And how's everybody's weekend? Anybody do something exciting? Anybody do something in business? We were productive. Any open houses? Any showing? Uh-oh, look at Danila. What did you do?
So I visited a fellow member's open house, Miss Bacon's open house in Lakewood, and just kind of did a little video, whatever. I've been really showing up on social media, which
Good.
I'm not great at, so I'm getting way better at. So that was pretty exciting, and just made some connections. And so yeah, pretty good, and implementing that
Girl.
$1 billion mastermind content and information. So I feel like I'm on fire,
Good girl. I love it.
Thank you,
I
thank you.
love it. You are on fire, honey. Don't let nobody tell you different.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that energy, Danila. That is wonderful. And
Thank
keep
you.
doing that. Keep showing up. I was on my coaching call this morning, and they were saying that consistency is the key.
Right.
Consistency is the key, right? It's like even when every day, if that's going to be your thing, social media, then you got to be really consistent at it.
Right.
But just keep showing up, and
Yes.
it will, over time, it's going to just build that momentum. So keep doing that. Keep showing up. Keep showing up with that energy. That energy is
Yes.
infectious. It is. People feel that and they want to be around you, right? They want to be like, okay,
Absolutely.
I love her energy. They want to be
Yes.
around that. So that's wonderful. I love it.
Thank you. Thank
Anybody else do anything? Got several people on now for the weekend showings or open houses. Any good reports to share? No? Okay. Well, I'm loving that Danila had her report to share. I actually went to my women's conference this weekend. It was on Saturday at my church. And I was volunteering, I was helping. And most of my ladies know that I'm a realtor. And so one of the sisters that I've been working with for 2 years now, Kim, she was like, I haven't forgotten about you. And I honestly thought that she had because it's been so long and she's been on this journey. And she was like, I haven't forgotten about you, Brandy, but I just graduated from her master's program. And she's like, and now they're going to place me. She's a teacher. She's been subbing and whatnot. So now they're going to place me. And now I'm going to have that income and we're going to be ready in a matter of a couple months. And so I was like, then it's time for us to really get serious about sitting down with the consultation. And she was like, absolutely. So that was cool. I was happy about that interaction this weekend. Um, and I wasn't expecting it, right? At a
Nice.
church event, wasn't expecting it, but opportunity is everywhere. And I always try to mention it to folks and kind of in passing, little, um, if I know that they've ever been interested. And I talked to them a little bit about the market. And so, because everybody's always interested in that. So don't miss out on any opportunities, you guys, to talk to people at any given opportunity. Talk to people about real estate. And they want to know about real estate, right? So give the people what they want. Let's talk about it, right? All right. All right, let's hop in. So you guys all know we've got to be TCPA compliant. Um, you don't want to talk to people that have not given you permission, right? So make sure that whatever list you're working on is all scrubbed, and that you are TCPA compliant. So let's go into our Los Angeles County sales trends. So as you can see, Los Angeles for sale properties is 10.4% increase over last month. So we've got more inventory than we did last month so far, and 43.1 increase over last year, same time this year. So um, very interesting that we are seeing inventory continue to climb. Okay. So we've got 43%, 43.1% higher inventory than we did last year. Okay. Sold is down 15.1% over last month. and 0.2% higher than it was last year in LA County. Okay, meaning properties that have closed escrow. Pendants are down 7.2% over last month and down 0.4% over last year. Okay, so we are seeing a dip in how many are in escrow to the tune of 0.4%, not quite even 1%, 0.4%. Okay. New listings is down 9.8% over last month and up still 16.1% over last year. So we have more new listing inventory over last year. So not only do we have more inventory, existing inventory, meaning homes that were resale homes right now, right, that have been just sitting on the market. We have 43% more of those still on the market than we did last year. Okay. And now we have 16.1% more new listings coming on the market. Okay. So we are seeing more inventory on the market overall as a whole. Okay. But sales is only 0.2% higher. Okay, so we're lagging behind when it comes to the ratio of new inventory versus sales, right? Okay, we're lagging behind. All right, active average price is down 3.8% over last month and down 9.9% over last year, right? So sellers on average are asking for 9.9% less than they did last year. However, the average sold price is 8.2% higher than it was last year. Okay. So although sellers are asking on average 9.9% lower, on average, they're receiving 8.2% higher than they did last year. Okay. In LA County, it's a big change. So LA County sellers are doing very well in terms of appreciation. It is a little bit above the normal levels of appreciation. Remember, 4 to 7% is like our normal range of appreciation. And even the National Association of Realtors right now is saying that our appreciation this year overall, and they're talking, nationwide, is going to be between 2 and 4%. Whereas right now we're seeing that appreciation in LA County is like 8.2%, right? So definitely higher than you're going to see, I think, in other counties. Months of inventory is up 24.5% over last month. Last month we had 2.9 months of inventory. Currently we have 3.6 months of inventory, and it's up 45.3% overall. As compared to last year. Last year we had 2.6 months of inventory, and currently we're at 3.8 months of inventory, right? So we know that normal market is that 4 months, 4 to like 6 months. That's that threshold. That's that sweet spot for a normal market before we actually, like 7 months, we start going into that buyer's market, right? And we're seeing that we're approaching that threshold of a neutral market. Okay. Meaning that we're even, right? Sellers supply, buyers demand is in alignment. Okay. That's what that means when we talk about that normal market. Okay.
So, Brandy, what does that kind of market typically do? Does that mean, like, as far as inventory and how fast we're selling, how does that impact us? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what it typically looks like is it looks like for every buyer, for every seller, there's a buyer, right? So instead of us having a situation where you've got multiple offers on a property, you're going to see one offer, one property, one offer, or one property, maybe two offers. But you normally see one offer, one property. You also normally see properties staying on the market a little bit longer, right? Right now, in a good neighborhood of a competitively priced property, you see these properties flying off the market, right? They can't even go a weekend without the property being sold. Okay. In highly desirable areas. Well, in a neutral market, that property could potentially sit on the market for anywhere for like 30 days. That would be normal. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what it typically looks like. And then in the buyer's market, when you see it from the other side, you're going to see buyers being able to pick and choose because those properties are being on the market even longer. Right, 90 days to in our market in California, we haven't seen that in a very long time. but 90 days is a long time for us to be on the market. California typically does have the most scarcity of inventory. We're not Denver, Colorado. We're not Texas, where they've got all these properties and all this land and all of that. We typically still have, the least amount of inventory coming on the market. But we do still have buyers markets, and properties do stay on the market for like 90 days. And in our market, that's a long time. Okay. You'll start to see luxury properties stay on the market even longer. So the higher up the price point, the longer the property stays on the market, right? And in a buyer's market, that's even longer. If that makes sense. Okay.
It does, definitely.
Okay. Average days on market is 8.6% lower than it was last month. We were at 35 days on market last month. We're at 32 days on market currently. Overall, the 18.8% increase over last year. So last year we were at 32 days on market, and currently we're at 38 days on market. So to your point, Danila, you see the days on market as we get more inventory, as we go into that normal market, you see the days on market become longer, right? Because you've got more inventory coming on the market because buyers have more choices. Okay. Sold versus original list price, no change. Last year, sellers were receiving 98% of their list price. Currently, they're still receiving 98% of their list price. As you can see, no change across the board, you guys. Last year was the same, 98% of list price. So again, sellers are doing very well in terms of what they're putting their property on the market for and what they're receiving for it. They're almost getting 100% of their list price. And the reality is we control that. We can definitely influence. I don't say we control it, because the sellers ultimately have the choice as to what they're going to put their property on the market for. And the reality is sometimes they go against our counsel, right? They sometimes say, oh no, my property is worth this because, I painted. Okay, that didn't add $50,000, but okay, that's what you think. But that happens quite often. But we definitely can counsel them, show them the data, to provide them with a competitive price so that they can get 100 to 101% of their list price, creating that bidding war. All right, let's go into Orange County, the OC. The OC is the county that has the least amount of inventory, right, among all of the counties. Okay. It's been like that for quite some time. Okay. For sale is up. It's up 17.3% over last month. So properties that are actually on the market, okay, are up 17.3% over last month, up 70.2% over last year, you guys. That's a huge number. They've got 70% more inventory on the market currently than they did last year. So properties are down 12% over last year and down, 12% over last month and down 3% over last year. So we are closing 3% less than we did last year in Orange County, despite having a huge spike in inventory. Pendants are up 2.2% over last month and down 2.7% over last year. Okay. New listing inventory is down 24.2% over last month. However, it is increased 12.4% over last year. Okay. So new listings definitely have gone up in Orange County. Be on the lookout again for those new developments in Orange County. Be on the lookout for those, right? Because those new developments typically have incentives right now for interest rates and for closing costs. Okay, so you're able to get your client more when you're using sometimes the developer's lender. And they're able to get you some incentives, especially right now when buyers are so particular about the interest rate, right? They're able to give a better interest rate. All right. Average active price is down 5.4% over last month and down 9.8% over last year. Okay. So on average, the sellers in Orange County are asking 9.8% less than they did last year. However, they're receiving 5.7% higher than they did last year. Okay. Asking less, but receiving 5.7% higher than they did last year, which is great actually, because this right here, this 5.7% level of appreciation is very reasonable, right? That's in that range of 4 to 7%. So very reasonable amount of appreciation, especially for Orange County, because we've seen Orange County take some huge hikes in appreciation over recent years. Okay, past. All right. All right, 28. Okay, so months of inventory is up 28.9%. So last month we were at 2.1 months of inventory. And then this month we're at 2.7 months of inventory. Again, you guys, we're in a seller's market. That's exactly what this is telling us. We are in a seller's market still in Orange County. Is it getting better? Absolutely. I mean, look at this. It was last year, it was at 1.6 months of inventory. And currently we're at 2.8 months of inventory, which is a 76.1% improvement. However, 2.8 months of inventory is still a scarce, we still have an inventory shortage. Okay. So that means that in Orange County, if you've got a buyer, you got to get that buyer out there quick. Okay. Because they don't have a lot of inventory out in Orange County. Even though you saw that 70% more inventory than it was last year, clearly we still don't have enough. Okay. Average days on market is down 3.8%. We were at 26 days on market last month. We're at 25 days on market currently. And then a 28% increase over last year. We were at 25 days on market last year. We're at 32 days on market currently. Okay. Sold versus original list price, a 1% increase over last month. We were at 97% of list price last month. We're at 98% of list price currently, and a 2% decrease over last year. So last year, sellers are receiving 99% of their list price, and currently they're receiving 97% of their list price. Okay. All right, moving on. Riverside County. All right, Riverside County is for sale properties is up 4.3% over last month and up 42.4% over last year. So keeping in alignment with all the other counties, right? Everybody is seeing an improvement in for sale inventory. Riverside County is no different. And then sold properties are down 11.3% over last month and down 2.7% over last year. Okay. So in Riverside County, we are seeing that that it has we do not have as many closings as we did last year, to the tune of 2.7 so far. So we're going to be keeping our eye on this, right? Because we really want to see closings improve, and we're coming into summertime. Spring and summer are our hottest months. Right. Jason Abrams this morning was saying, Jason Abrams, one of our leaders at Keller Williams, was saying that, we are in our sales season. We're in our sales season. So really, it really is a time to be reaching out to everybody, and talking to them about their real estate plans, because normally they're executing on their real estate plans right now. Okay. So got to get out there, got to talk to folks. All right. Pendants are down 2.8% over last month. So properties that have actually gone into escrow are down 2.8%. However, they're up 1.3% as compared to last year. Okay, so we are still seeing some good traction on pendants, even though it's small, and even the closings are small. It's a small amount of difference over last year, right? But it's still a difference, and it's the difference in the wrong direction, right? We'd like to see that be 2.7 more closings than it was last year versus less. Okay. New listings are down 22.9% over last month. However, we are still holding strong. We've got 9.8% more new listings than there were last year. So that's great that we are still seeing some new listing inventory come on the market as compared to last year. Average active price is down 2.9% as compared to last month, and down 2.7% as compared to last year. Okay. However, the average sold price is down 5.8% over last month as compared to last month, and up 1.7% as compared to last year. So although sellers are asking 2.7% less than they did last year, they're receiving 1.7% more than they did last year. Okay. So it's a good number. Again, it's a very reasonable amount of appreciation. It's actually kind of low. But given everything that's going on, that's a reasonable amount. Months of inventory is down 14.6%. I'm sorry, it's up 14.6% over last year or last month. We were at 3.4 months of inventory last month. We're currently at 3.9 months of inventory and up 49.3% increase over last year. So last year we were at 2.6 months of inventory at this time in the year. And currently we're at 3.9 months of inventory. So again, Riverside County actually doing very well. Right there, almost reaching that 4 months. And not that something miraculous is going to happen when 4 months hits, right? So let's keep it real, right? It'll be the same probably as 3.9 months, right? And you really won't start to see things really start to make sense or really start to come to fruition probably until you're actually in that 5 months of inventory, right? People really start to manifest itself in the market. But definitely you will start to see because it's going to show in these numbers. That's where we really should start to see it in the numbers. Okay. But it is right there at the threshold of being considered by data purposes, a normal market. Okay. All right. Average days on market is down 3.9% over last month. We were at 51 days on market last month. We're at 49 days on market currently and up 15.9% over last year. So last year we had 44 days on market and currently we're at 51 days on market. Okay. Sold versus original list price is down 2.1% over last month. We were at 97% of list price last month. We're at 95% of list price currently. And then as compared to last year, we're 1% down. We were at 97% of list price last year. We're at 96% of list price currently. Okay. All right. Last county of the day, San Bernardino County. For sale properties is up 10.1% as compared to last month and up 39.7% as compared to last year. So definitely we're seeing more inventory on the market compared to last year. Okay. Just like every other county. Sold properties are down 14.8% over last month and down 3.5% over last year. Okay. So definitely it looked like all the counties on the sold properties was actually down except for LA County, which was up by 0.2%, right? So every other county is actually down in terms of closings. Even though they're not by much, we're still down. Pendants are down 0.5% over last month and 1% down over last year. Okay. New listing inventory is down 17.5% over last month. However, it has increased 12.1% as compared to last year. Okay, so that's good. We're still seeing new listing inventory improvements compared to last year, which we need to see. Average active price is 1.1% higher than it was last month and 2.2% lower than it was last year. So on average, sellers are asking for 2.2% less than they did last year, and keeping with almost every other county, they're receiving higher. They're receiving 5.5% higher than they did last year. Okay. So they're selling for 5.5% higher than they did last year, which is a very normal amount. Great message for buyers and sellers. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you still are receiving more than you would have last year had you sold, right? To the tune of 5.5%. But Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you're not buying at a 10% appreciation over last year, right? It only has improved 5%. Okay. Which is not double digit appreciation, right? This is a very normal amount of appreciation. Okay. So it's not, the story works on both sides. Okay. All right. Months of inventory. We have increased 25.8% Over last month, we were at 3.9 months of inventory last month. We're at 4.9 months of inventory currently. And then as compared to last year, we've increased 47.6%. We were at 3.1 months of inventory last year. We're currently at 4.6 months of inventory in San Bernardino County. Okay. So this market is definitely into the normal market range, right? At 4.6 months of inventory. So yes, we would definitely see an increase in days on market. Average days on market has increased 11.6% as compared to last month. Last month we're at 43 days. We're currently at 48 days. And then over last year, it's a 20% increase. We're at 40 days last year. Currently we're at 48 days on market. Okay. Sold versus original list price, no change. 98% of list price last month. 98% of list price currently. Sellers are getting 98% of their original list price. Same as compared to last year. Last year, they were receiving 98% of list price, and they're currently receiving 98% of list price. So sellers are getting very close to 100% of list price as compared to last year, which is great. No change as compared to last year, which is great. All right. Let's look at our, anybody got any questions about those numbers before we move on?
I was shocked about the luxury high-end homes because I was reading in Fortune how the wealthy are running to those properties to try to save their money. Is it just particular counties, or what do you think about that?
I didn't hear that report, but I do know that if you're looking for tax savings, obviously, property is definitely one of the biggest ways to safeguard your money. So that makes sense. But in all honesty, I run numbers to get my data. I do not listen to the news because a lot of times they're skewing it however they want to skew it. I don't see that. I don't see that people are running to anything right now, to be perfectly honest with you. Giving interest rates. And interest rates are ticked up this past week. We were sitting at like 6.6. We're now sitting at like 6.75, 6.875. Not a big change. But just when everybody's starting to get used to it, now we're having a little bit of fluctuation in the wrong direction. So I haven't seen that necessarily. But again, I normally run my numbers, especially because I don't necessarily work in the luxury market. Like, and nowadays I'm like, yeah, my neighborhood is 1.1 million. So I'm like, yeah, maybe it is the luxury, but it's really not because it's all relative, right? Because Carson now has gone into like the 1 million, but that's not, we're talking about the luxury I'm assuming you're talking about is like Brentwood and Ladera and those areas that are like you probably 1.6, 1.8 million. So yeah, I haven't heard that though, that they're running to those properties. And I would want to look at what the numbers say about days on market for that specific price point, luxury price point, because you can break that down. It's easy to break down using our data. So good question though. All right, let's look at what we've got for this week. You guys, we're doing the monthly or the weekly market update. We've got group coaching today at 12 p.m. We're going to continue to go over. I'm not sure what happened last week, but this week I'm going to continue what we talked about the week before last, which is going over the RPA and how to structure your RPA to make it more attractive to a seller. Okay, so we're going to go over that. Tomorrow we have conversations in real play with Diana, and then we also have our team meeting. So group coaching today, conversations in real play, and then our team meeting. We have a special speaker, our top producer at DAOR. He's our number 2 top producer at the Downey Association of Realtors. The number 2 agent, you guys, in all the area. We're talking about he's beating out thousands of agents. And he's right around the corner here from us. And his name is Joshua Gloss. His brokerage is called The Agency, small boutique brokerage that he started himself. And so he's going to talk to us about, his journey and about, how he does what he does. He's actually a broker and a lender. He does both. Okay. And so he's going to talk to us. And so that's going to be really good. Full disclosure, Josh has a potty mouth. He's just a real dude. He just talks the way he talks. It's hilarious. So, give him grace. So give him grace. He is who he is. That's what we want, right? We want people to be authentically themselves. That's who we are. And so that's going to be awesome to have him speak with us tomorrow. And I'm going to interview him tomorrow at our team meeting. And of course, we'll have refreshments and things for you guys. That's going to be our big thing this week. We also have, you guys know, next week too, on Tuesday, Pavin will bring back his multi-unit class where he's talking to you guys about, or us, because I'm in that class actually, how to analyze the properties, how to do the financial analysis, how to do the market analysis on that. And then how to pitch it, right, to a potential investor. If you don't want to take it for your portfolio, then how to pitch it to an investor for them. Broker hour is this week, Wednesday, Thursday. I believe Ed is back from vacation, so he will be on Wednesday, Thursday at 10 a.m. Got our tech workshop with Martha on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. You guys know we've got a couple of things going on at DAOR. So at DAOR next week, Thursday, you've got cornhole, the 3rd annual cornhole barbecue, all that good stuff. If you know, it's always good to network with agents in the area. You never know when you're going to have a buyer that's on one of their that is interested in one of their listings, your fellow agents' listings. It's always good if they know you. You're going to get some level of preferential treatment because they know you, right? And so it's always good to be familiar with your agents in your area. Okay. And then content day over here is the 3rd Thursday of the month. And you can go around if you're looking for content, like Danila was saying earlier. If you guys missed it, she went to one of our fellow agents' open houses and filmed content there. This is a great opportunity for you to do the same. Basically, agents put their listings in the hat, and they have a schedule, and you're able to go around on the 3rd Thursday, and you're able to go around and film during it's almost like a broker tour, right? And you go around and you're able to film at those listings, okay, that are active, okay? So really cool. And if you have a listing in our area and you would like to put it on the broker tour for content day, 3rd Thursday of the month, please go ahead and do so. And you could just call the DOR. Ignite After Dark is still available for those who want to attend. It's 6:30 Pacific time on the West Coast. There's our QR code. It's ongoing, so you'll just catch up. You'll just get in where you fit in, whichever session it is. Okay. Dial for Dollars on Thursday, 2 p.m. with Victor Ambrise, you guys. Victor is on fire in his business. I mean, just opening escrows left and right. And just doing an amazing job. And here's the thing, he's so consistent with his calling, and he's teaching you guys how to do it. Okay. So you guys know Amanda and Montserrat. Amanda is in escrow for 1.2 million because using one of his strategies. It works. The proof is in the pudding. Okay. So it works. Montserrat has 2 leads from sending out the letters. And so she's working those right now. Okay. So I'm telling you, it works. And if you were needing motivation to drop some poundage, we are doing our weight loss program. I think I'm gaining weight in this program. I don't know. I have been eating everything I wanted to eat. This is ridiculous. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just your mind. Get your mind right when you get into this. All right. Get your mind right. All right. Let's see. Whoop, whoop. Okay. What was your whoop
Do you
whooping
know where?
about, Danila?
Amanda being an escrow for 1.2 million. Like, say
Oh,
what?
yes.
Go
Yes.
ahead.
That's
So proud of her.
amazing. Yes, that is amazing. Especially if she did it from the letters, sending out the letters. I remember when they did that, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
It really is. She sent out 500
Yes.
letters and got 2 bites, one of which was very serious. Her and Victor went on the listing appointment and she took the listing. And then Victor brought the buyer. So
Love that.
1.2. Yep.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Very awesome. Very proud of her. And she has another one that she's working on, and Montserrat has too. So, and they both did the same thing. And so now she's sending out more letters. I was helping her do a mail merge last week. She's sending out more letters.
I need to learn how to do that, Brandy, the mail merge.
Oh yeah, come on in. I'll help you.
Okay.
It's,
All right.
it's so easy. So yeah, so yes, definitely you guys, it's something that everybody should be doing. It's working, so we should be doing it, right? And not a one and done. You got to follow up, you got to work the systems, do the things, right? But definitely it does work. So and Victor is willing to go on appointments with you, and he didn't want anything. You're doing what he told you to do. He's like, if you do what I tell you to do and you need my help, I'm here for you.
I did have questions about that because I did sent out letters, and so I'm getting ready to send out my second round of letters. But I was wondering that as far as like, does he ask for a portion of, the commission? If not, that's what I wanted to know. So thank you for answering that.
Yeah, no, he does not. He's so cool about the whole thing. He's just like, I'm here to help you guys. I want you guys to make money. He's like, I'm making enough. That's the way he is. Yeah.
That's awesome too.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, of course. All right. Let's see. Industry news. Let's talk about it. So Zillow did a soft launch, you guys, of offer strategies features on listings. So basically, like, it's for home shoppers. They can look at 4 different scenarios. Like if a buyer is looking at a property, they can look at the 4 different scenarios on if they make an offer, 4 different types of offers, and the probability of it being accepted. Okay. And an option to connect them with a partner agent. Okay. So it's like explore offer strategies. And so it deals with price, conditions. It tells them if they're in a seller's market or a buyer's market, depending on, what area they're in. Yeah, so it's interesting, it doesn't take away the Zestimate or anything like that. But for buyers, it supposedly engages the buyer, in a little more involved process in terms of seeing if what kind of offer they can make, and if that offer would be accepted based on the terms that they finagle, that they come up with, 4 different scenarios, if you will. So I thought that was really interesting. You see how it says it's a soft launch. They're always testing the market with these different things to see if it'll stick. Because Zillow is always trying to capture more market share. They're trying to capture our clients, and they're trying to keep them for, partner agents who are then buying the zip codes, right? Because that's what agents do. We are buying the zip code, and then that means you're buying the lead. And that's the whole purpose of that. So if your client, and the whole purpose of this is telling you, because if your client says, well, I'm on Zillow, and Zillow told me that if I made this kind of offer, that, my offer would be accepted. And now you'll know where it's coming from. Okay. You won't be caught off guard. You'll be able to say, I completely understand, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, that you were on Zillow and that it told you that. And, I love that you're doing your due diligence. I love that. Means that you're serious. That means that you really want to purchase. And what I will tell you is Zillow is a computer. It's an algorithm. They're doing everything by, data and algorithms. And if you know anything about this business is about relationships. This business is about face to face and us talking. And I actually called the listing agent on the property, and this is how many offers they have, or they have no offers. So we have a little more leverage than Zillow thought, right? You're going to give them the real, because you're going to be the one out there talking to the listing agents, knowing the days on market. Now, Zillow knows the days on market as well. But knowing exactly what the sellers are looking for. Zillow doesn't know what the sellers are looking for. Zillow didn't go out and talk to the agent and know what the seller is looking for. Know that the seller needs to stay in that property for a week after the close of escrow. Zillow doesn't know that. Zillow doesn't know anything about really, truly what the seller's wants and needs are. And that, at the end of the day, is how you get a property accepted, how you get a deal accepted, by knowing what it takes. Zillow's only going to say what it feels the numbers are based on their little box. Okay. So that's just my 2 cents.
I appreciate your 2 cents, because I'm sure, like, what are we doing when people are like, well, I was on a realtor, well, I was on this. And honestly, I was on all of those things before getting into the business. So you're like, okay, so how is mine's better than theirs? But all of the things that you just explained are examples of how, right?
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. Thanks.
Oh, of course. My pleasure. Buyer agreements don't lead to lower commissions, Fed fines. Okay, sorry. I had to share this because I was like, yes. So you guys, just because there's a BRBC now, data is starting to roll in, and it is showing you guys that since NAR's rule change went into effect last August, commissions have remained fairly stable, and sellers generally still pay buyers agents commissions. Okay? Don't feed yourself the story that it's harder to get paid. Don't feed yourself the story that sellers aren't paying. Are some sellers going to not pay? Sure. But those sellers weren't going to pay regardless. There's always been that contingent of sellers who, want to do it themselves or don't want to pay, blah, blah, blah. So that was existing. That's why it's so important in this particular market about our skills. How well are we, how good are we expressing our unique value proposition and why we're worth the money. And it is really important to be able to negotiate for your commission. Okay. But bottom line is that they're saying that, yes, since the 1990s, yes, commissions have fallen, but it wasn't related to buyer agreements. It's just the normal downward pressure on, on commissions, because you're in a seller's market, right? When you're in a seller's market for so long, we've been in a seller's market for quite some time now. When you're in a seller's market for so long and sellers' properties fly off the market like that, do sellers think that they need to pay you a bunch of money when their property is going to fly off the market like that regardless?
Probably not.
No. But getting into that normal market, to that buyer's market, our value is going to increase. You can best believe it. When they're looking at a longer days on market and all those things, they're going to want sellers, listing agents who have expertise, and they're going to want listing agents who are like really on top of things, and they're going to be willing to pay for it. And they're going to be willing to pay buyers agents to come and sell their properties. They're going to be willing, because they're going to be like, well, if I don't pay this person and my neighbor does, then my property is not going to sell. That is a good realization. You're right. You're being very reasonable, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Mm-hmm. Yes, we should definitely offer compensation. Right? So it is going to get easier on that compensation conversation as we get into that normal and buyer's market. You can best believe that. All right. Little chance of rate cuts in the current economy. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that definitely with everything that's going on, the Fed is less likely to do any rate cuts. We do have 2 additional meetings, I as I understand it, between now and the end of the year, Fed meetings. However, it is looking less likely that they are going to do any rate cutting right now. We did the 30-year fixed mortgage rate ticked up to 6.8 this week after the U.S. reached a tentative trade deal with China. We did have the tariffs were taken off the table for now, and that basically leveled out the stock market. Okay, stabilize the stock market. But they're saying that rates are unlikely to drop unless, and we don't even want this, but unless we get into a recession. Okay. Unless there's a significant recession, they're saying that rates are unlikely to go down. Okay. They are still looking at inflation, and inflation is still kind of in that territory of not being dangerously high, but not quite being where the Fed wants it to be. So they are looking at that. They are looking for further stabilization of the economy, but our economy actually is looking pretty good, especially with him backing down off the tariffs and stuff. So. And the other thing on a lighter note is they were saying that is that buyers are really getting used to this 6.8% interest rate, and it is looking like late spring, summer could be a bounce back in terms of the closings. Okay. And buyers really getting back into the market. We may see a more robust late spring, summer market. Right now, this was not predicted. The way our market is going this year was not predicted because of all the things that happen to be honest, on the political side of things. It kind of trickled down. And so it was just unpredicted that our market would go like this, right? And so the reality is that we just have to, right now, we just really have to keep our eyes and ears open and keep our fingers on the pulse of this market so that we can understand where it is, where it may be going, and we can help our clients make good decisions for themselves and their families. Okay. I was telling somebody at my Women's Day, right? Because, everybody thinks they know. And I mean, and honestly, I'm very humble. I just come into this because I know that I don't know everything, right? I just don't. I feel like people just don't know everything. I do, however, have one thing that I feel like, well, I have a couple things, but as it relates to real estate, I do feel like I have never seen a time when it was not a good time to buy. That is because you've got to live somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? And if I'm not mistaken, you renting is literally throwing your money away.
Yeah.
And so I just can't get over that. Unless you're renting from your mom or your dad and you put that money could potentially be like your inheritance, right? Okay. But other than that, you renting for $2,000, $3,000, whatever it is literally throwing your money away. So why wouldn't you want to buy something that's your own? Right? And so even these people are like, well, I can't buy in the area that I want to live in. You'll never be able to buy in the area that you want to live in if you don't start somewhere.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Come on, somebody.
That's true.
And I just think people, especially our Black and brown people, just have we just are programmed differently. And we've got to work on the education, the miseducation, and reprogramming, right? Because the divide between the haves and the have-nots, you guys, is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And real estate is a big part of building wealth. It's actually one of the most important ways to build wealth.
It's very
so. I'm sorry, I did not mean to get on my soapbox, but
No, we need that.
I was just like, wow, no, like, oh. So
every wealthy person's portfolio has a massive portion that is invested in real estate. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. Yep. And they'll tell you that in a heartbeat. They'll tell you that in a heartbeat. Like, go buy some real estate. Which is why Pavin, which I love Pavin for this, he preaches to us all the time, like, you guys, I'm teaching you this stuff so that not only can you know how to pitch it to an investor, but that you understand it so that you get the first dib at it. Like, you see an investment property and it's a good buy, your first thought should be, who can I get to partner with me to buy this for my own portfolio? So that I can flip it, or so that I can buy and hold it. Not which one of my investors should I go sell it to? If it's a good deal,
Correct.
wait a minute, time out.
Correct.
Blow the whistle. Why don't I look at that?
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, we really, really have to start looking at this. We have the opportunity, normally the first opportunity. Right. So we really have to start looking at that, like building our own portfolios and helping to educate our communities about the whole wealth conversation, building wealth conversation, starting with real estate. All right. So the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, you guys, I haven't listened to it. I didn't listen to it this morning. I was on my coaching call this morning. But I heard this one is a good one. So, scale systems behind $150 million business. I can't wait to listen. It's going to be on my, if the Dodgers aren't on, I know I'm bad, you guys. I got a Dodger thing. I can't help it. If they not on my way to on home, I will be listening to Michael Hearn tonight. Okay. If not, I'll be listening to him in the morning. But podcast 83, I heard was a really good one about scaling the systems behind his $150 million business. And I'm sure he's going to break it all down. Tell us how he got to $150 million. But listen to the podcast. You guys, this is gold. The One Thing podcast as well, 7 leadership lessons from a parenting expert. So this is cute. I thought this was really cute. She's a parenting expert and they're doing 2 parts. And if you are a parent, if you're not a parent but want to be a parent, if you have grandkids and they're young, because my kids are old right now, they're older, right? I have an 18-year-old, but I'm still going to listen because, again, you can learn from anything. And trust me, when you're dealing with buyers and sellers, you're parenting. I'm telling you, we're everything to our clients, you guys. We're therapists, we're parents, we're everything. So I have literally had to help with parenting because the child didn't want to move, and he was actually it was a she was really upset, and she would come in with all kind of attitude. And where I come from, my mama just wouldn't allow that. So I probably would have got popped in my mouth. So, but these new parents, they don't do that. And I get it. So it was like, she was like, well, I need to understand how she's feeling. And I was like, okay, well then I think you should sit her down and then, and I did all the things like, help her to have a party for her and her friends at the new house. And, you just have to do all the things. So I'm telling you, we're everything to our parent or to our clients when you're in that transaction. You really are. So might be a good one for you to listen to. We have the MREA coming out in Spanish. This is awesome. So for our Spanish speakers and our Latino community, this is going to be a great one because, a lot of times English is a second language. And if you put something in there in Spanish speaking or in Spanish, it helps the comprehension because everything doesn't translate well. So this will be a good one if you know anybody. I think that is it, you guys. We are done. Thank you guys for hanging in there today. I appreciate all of you. Any questions before we get out of here?
Thank you so
You're
much,
welcome.
Brandy.
You're welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure, you guys. Well, if no questions, have an amazing day, and I hope to see you at 12 o'clock.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.